Fun with English. Idioms with stories. Introduction. Welcome to a fun way to learn English. Have you ever heard someone say, "It's raining cats and dogs," and wondered if animals were falling from the sky? Or maybe someone told you to break a leg before something important, and you felt confused. These are called idioms. They are like special phrases in English. The words in an idiom, when put together, have a meaning that is different from what each word means alone. Think of them as adding bright colors and tasty flavors to your English. They make it sound more interesting and like a native speaker. Learning them can feel like a fun game or finding hidden treasures. Sometimes idioms can be a bit hard to understand, right? The most confusing part is when the words don't seem to make sense if you think about them one by one. For example, break a leg does not mean you should hurt yourself. It's a way to say good luck. Trying to learn many of these phrases by just memorizing lists can feel like a boring job. It's like trying to remember a long list of things to buy at the store without knowing why you need each thing. When people who speak English as their first language use these phrases, you might feel a bit lost, as if they are sharing a secret you don't know. But what if learning idioms could be much easier and more fun? This book will help you. Our special way is to focus on idioms that have interesting and clear stories behind them. We call these idioms with clear stories. When you know the story or the reason why an idiom means what it does, it's like a light turning on. The meaning becomes very clear. It's much easier to remember a story than just a definition. Our minds love stories. They help us connect ideas and remember them better. Knowing the story of an idiom helps you understand its real meaning. Learning the history behind these phrases is very interesting. For example, the idiom "spill the beans" probably comes from an old way of voting where people used beans to vote. When the beans were spilled, the secret was out. Or think about "bite the bullet." This likely comes from a time when soldiers had to have surgery without feeling sleepy. They would bite on a bullet to help them handle the pain. See how knowing these little stories makes the idiom's meaning, to tell a secret or to face a hard time bravely, much clearer and easier to remember? In this book, each part will take you on a journey. We will introduce an idiom, and then we will explore its wonderful story or its clear beginning. After that, we will explain what the idiom means today. We will show you how to use it in sentences you can use every day with helpful examples. We will also have some fun activities to help you practice. This way will not only help you learn idioms, but will also make you feel more sure of yourself. It will make your English sound more natural and make learning something you look forward to. This book is for anyone who wants to learn more English words and sound more like a native speaker. It is made to be fun for all levels of learners. So, are you ready to learn the secrets of English idioms? Are you ready to make learning English exciting and easy to remember? With Fun with English, Idioms with Stories, you will see that learning idioms is not just about remembering words. It's about finding amazing stories and connecting with the English language in a new and interesting way. Let's start and have some fun with English. 1. Why learn idioms? English can seem like a big puzzle sometimes, can't it? You learn words, you learn rules, and then someone says, "Don't spill the beans." You wonder, what beans? Why not spill them? This is the fun, sometimes puzzling, part of special phrases called idioms. But don't worry, we're here to help. This book will make learning these tricky phrases easy and fun. When you learn a word like happy, you know its meaning. But when you hear "she's over the moon," it's different. She's not really above the moon, is she? It means she's very, very happy. Idioms are like this. The words together mean something new. And the best part? Many idioms have wonderful stories behind them. Why learn these colorful, sometimes strange, phrases? They make your English sound much more alive and real. Imagine you want to say you are very surprised. You could say, I was very surprised. That's fine. But if you say, I was gobsmacked, it's much more exciting. It helps the listener see what you mean. It's like going from a black and white picture to a colorful one. Using idioms shows you know English is not just rules, but a living thing. It means you speak with style. Idioms are like a special flavor for English talk. They add taste and depth. Instead of saying, he told the secret, you can say, he let the cat out of the bag. Doesn't that sound more fun? You can almost imagine a cat jumping from a bag. Painting pictures with words makes talking more interesting and easy to remember. You can show big feelings or ideas with just one idiom. It's a strong way to make your thoughts clear and have an impact. Where do you find these great phrases? Everywhere, not just in old books. You hear them in movies, in songs, and when people talk every day. When you watch a movie and a character says, we need to bite the bullet on this one, and you know it means they must face a hard thing bravely, the movie is more fun. You feel more connected. If you miss idioms, it's like trying to follow a story with missing parts. You get the main idea, but you miss the small things, the jokes, and the full meaning. You might feel a bit lost. This is why we focus on idioms with clear beginnings. Learning an idiom can feel like memorizing strange words. But what if those words have a history? What if a story explains why it means what it means? For example, spill the beans means to tell a secret. Imagine a long time ago, people voted with beans. White beans for yes, black beans for no. If someone knocked over the bean jar before voting ended, the secret of how people would vote was out. Knowing that story makes spill the beans easy to remember. It becomes a small piece of history. When you learn the story of an idiom, it's like planting a seed. The story is the water and sun that helps the idiom grow and stick. It turns a confusing phrase into a story you can remember. Our book's main idea is this: understanding where idioms come from makes learning them an adventure, not hard work. It makes English feel easier, more human, and much more fun. So, what's really good for you when you start using idioms? Besides sounding more like someone who grew up speaking English, you understand English culture better and how people really talk. Idioms often show history, cultural habits, or common human feelings. By learning them, you learn about the world that made those words. Think about real life. When you're in a meeting, maybe at work or school, and someone says, let's not beat around the bush, and you know it means let's get straight to the point. You can answer without worry. You won't wonder what hitting bushes has to do with it. You can join the talk, sharing your ideas right away. This confidence is a big step to speaking English well. It lets you focus on what you want to say, not on what you might not understand. Also, idioms let you say things in ways that plain words sometimes can't. They can show feelings and attitudes very quickly. For example, if someone is feeling sad, you can say they are feeling blue. This simple phrase shows a mood. It's more feeling than just saying feeling sad. Or if someone is working very hard, you can say they are burning the midnight oil, meaning working late at night. This picture is stronger than just saying working late. These phrases add a special richness to your talking that makes your English stand out. Idioms are everywhere in everyday English. They are part of talking, media, and books. If you watch a popular TV show, read a best-selling book, or just listen to people in a cafe, you'll hear them all the time. For example, a character might say, I'm all ears, meaning they are listening closely. If you don't know this idiom, you might wonder if the character's ears have suddenly grown. Hearing them all the time means knowing idioms isn't just about sounding good. It's about understanding and joining the English-speaking world. Think about how easily you could misunderstand things if you don't know common idioms. Imagine someone asking you to lend them a hand, meaning to help them. If you think of it as giving them your hand, you might be confused or find it funny. In a more serious situation, not understanding could mean missing chances or having awkward moments. For instance, if a coworker says, "We need to get on the same page," meaning to agree on something, and you don't understand, you might keep your own ideas, causing confusion and slowing things down. This shows why learning idioms isn't just for school, it's needed to talk well. The main idea is that learning idioms doesn't have to be hard. By focusing on idioms with clear, interesting beginnings, we can understand them and make them a natural part of what we say. When you learn the story behind bite the bullet, for example, you know it means to face a hard thing with courage. Maybe in the past, soldiers were given a bullet to bite during painful operations to help them handle the pain. This strong image stays with you, making the idiom easy to remember and use correctly. This link between the story and the meaning makes learning much better and more enjoyable. So, we've seen that idioms are important to sound natural, add style to your speech, and truly understand English as it's spoken. They are the spice that makes language exciting, the colors that make it bright, and the quick ways that make talking easy. They are not just phrases. They are windows into culture, history, and what it means to be human. But where do these interesting phrases come from? In the next part, we'll start our exciting trip by looking at the very beginnings of some of the most common and memorable idioms, starting with 2. Stories behind idioms. English is a living thing, always changing and growing. And sometimes, the most interesting parts of English are the phrases we call idioms. These are phrases where the words together mean something different from the individual words. It can feel like a secret code when you first hear them. But what if I told you that many of these secret codes have wonderful stories behind them? Stories that make them easy to understand and even easier to remember. That's the magic of idioms with clear origins. Think of idioms like little snapshots of history or culture. They are like tiny tales that people have passed down through the years. When we learn the story behind an idiom, it's not just about memorizing a new phrase. It's like opening a treasure chest and finding a beautiful picture inside. This picture helps us understand why the idiom means what it does. It's like a key that unlocks the meaning, making it much clearer and more solid in our minds. Instead of just saying this idiom means this, we can say, "Ah, I see. It means this because of this old story." This makes learning English feel less like hard work and more like an exciting adventure. Let's take a moment to really think about this. Why do stories help us learn? Our brains are amazing at remembering stories. Think about your favorite childhood stories. You probably remember the characters, the places, and what happened. Stories create pictures in our minds, and these pictures stick with us. Idioms with clear origins work the same way. The story behind an idiom gives us a picture, a scene, or an event to hold on to. This mental image makes the idiom much more real and much less likely to be forgotten. It's like planting a seed in your mind. The story is the sunshine and water that helps the idiom grow and stay there. So, how does this connection between a story and an idiom's meaning work? Well, most of the time, the story directly explains why the idiom means what it does. The words in the idiom are often clues. When you know the original situation, those clues make perfect sense. It's like solving a puzzle. The story gives you the missing pieces, and suddenly, the whole picture becomes clear. This is the core idea of idioms with clear origins. Understanding the why makes the what easy. It makes the language feel less like a collection of strange phrases and more like a collection of fascinating little histories. Let's look at a few examples to really see this in action. These are idioms that have stories so clear, you can almost see them happening. One very common idiom is spill the beans. What do you think it means? If someone tells you to spill the beans, they mean to tell a secret. Now, imagine a very old way of making a decision. Sometimes, people would use beans to vote or to make choices. They might put white beans in one pot for yes and black beans in another for no. Or they might have a special jar where they kept all the secret plans. If someone accidentally knocked over the jar or the bag of beans, all the secrets would be out. The beans would spill and everyone would know what was being planned. So, when someone spills the beans, they are letting the secret out, just like spilling the beans from a container. The image of beans tumbling out of a bag or pot is a strong one, right? It perfectly shows how a secret can be accidentally revealed. This story is the DNA of Spill the Beans, making its meaning, to reveal a secret, very easy to understand. Another great example is bite the bullet. This idiom means to face a difficult or unpleasant situation with courage and bravery. Now, imagine a time before modern medicine, especially before strong painkillers. If someone had to undergo a painful medical procedure, like having a tooth pulled or an operation, there wasn't much they could do to stop the pain. To help them cope, they might be given a bullet to bite down on. Biting down hard on the bullet could help them endure the pain, distract them a little, and stop them from crying out too much. So, when you bite the bullet, you are doing something difficult and painful, just like those people long ago. You are facing the hard reality with strength. The image of someone clenching their jaw on a metal bullet is a very powerful and slightly uncomfortable picture. This picture directly tells us about facing pain and hardship bravely. It's a vivid reminder of the idiom's meaning. Let's try one more. Break the ice. This idiom means to make people feel more comfortable and relaxed in a new or awkward social situation, especially when they first meet. Think about a group of people who don't know each other. They might be shy or feel a little strange. It's like a frozen lake. Everything is still and cold. To make things warmer and more friendly, someone needs to break the ice. This could be by telling a joke, asking an interesting question, or starting a simple conversation. Once the ice is broken, people can start talking and getting to know each other. The frozen lake starts to melt and conversations can flow freely. The image of cracking through a hard, frozen surface to let something flow beneath is a perfect visual for making a tense situation more relaxed. It shows how one action can open up communication and make connections possible. The story here is about removing a barrier to allow for warmth and connection. Do you see how powerful these stories are? When you hear Spill the Beans, you don't just get a definition, you get a mental image of beans tumbling out. When you hear Bite the Bullet, you can almost feel the hardness of the metal and the clenching of teeth. And with Break the Ice, you can picture the satisfying crack of frozen water giving way to movement. These are not just abstract phrases. They are connected to real actions, real situations, and real feelings. This is the essence of idioms with clear origins. They are idioms where the story is the key. This story acts like a built-in memory aid. It's like having a little helper that whispers the meaning to you whenever you hear the idiom. Instead of just trying to stuff a definition into your brain, you are creating a vivid mental scene. This scene is much more engaging and much more effective for learning. It transforms the often difficult task of learning new vocabulary into something fun and memorable. It makes you feel smart and accomplished because you're not just learning words, you're learning about the history and culture behind them. These stories show us that language is not static. It's a living, breathing thing that has been shaped by human experiences, by the way people lived, worked, and interacted. By digging into the origins of idioms, we are not just learning English, we are learning about the people who spoke English before us. We are connecting with their world, their challenges, and their ways of expressing themselves. This makes the learning process incredibly rich and rewarding. The beauty of idioms with clear origins is that they feel intuitive once you know the story. The meaning isn't a random guess, it's a logical outcome of the original situation. This logic is what makes them so easy to recall. When you encounter a new idiom that has a clear story, you can immediately grasp its meaning and understand why it's used in certain situations. This understanding gives you confidence. You can start using these idioms yourself, knowing that you understand their deeper meaning and their historical roots. Now that we've seen how understanding the why behind an idiom can unlock its meaning and make it stick, we're ready to dive into some of the most colorful and memorable origin stories. These tales will not only teach you new idioms, but will also show you the incredible journey language has taken to get here. 3. Fun ways to learn idioms. Learning English can feel like a big adventure, and sometimes those little phrases called idioms can seem like tricky puzzles. You know, like when someone says, "Don't spill the beans." What does that even mean? Are we talking about actual beans falling on the floor? Of course not. But understanding why we say spill the beans can make it super easy to remember. That's where the magic of idioms with clear origins comes in. It's like having a secret key that unlocks the meaning and makes learning fun. Think about it. When you learn a new word, you usually just learn what it means. But with idioms, they're like little stories hidden inside words. And when we find those stories, learning becomes a game, not a chore. Let's explore some super fun ways to learn these word puzzles. One of the most powerful ways to learn idioms is to use your imagination. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine someone whispering a secret. Now, picture them holding a little pot, maybe made of clay, filled with tiny beans. They trip and whoosh. The beans tumble out everywhere. Everyone can see them now. They can't be hidden anymore. That's exactly what spill the beans means. To tell a secret that was supposed to be hidden. You didn't just memorize a definition. You saw a picture. You heard the tumble of the beans. This picture in your mind is like a special hook that helps you remember the idiom forever. This idea of seeing the story is super important. Idioms often come from simple, everyday actions or old traditions. Take the idiom bite the bullet. Imagine a time long ago, before we had good medicine for pain. If a soldier had to have a painful operation, like removing a bullet from their leg, it would hurt a lot. To help them be brave and not scream too much, they might be given a soft lead bullet to bite down on. So, when we say someone has to bite the bullet today, it means they have to be brave and face something difficult or painful, just like that soldier. When you picture that soldier holding that lead bullet tight in their teeth, you understand the feeling of bravery and facing something tough. The image makes the meaning clear. So, how does understanding the real origin of an idiom like bite the bullet directly help a learner grasp its hidden meaning and how to use it? It's all about creating a strong mental link. The real action, biting a bullet, is intense and requires courage. This intensity is directly transferred to the hidden meaning, facing any difficult situation with courage. Without the story, bite the bullet is just a strange phrase. With the story, it's a vivid picture of bravery that's hard to forget. You understand that it's not about actual bullets anymore, but about the feeling of facing something hard. You can then use it in situations where someone needs to be brave, like when your friend is nervous about a big test. You can say, "You just have to bite the bullet and do your best." What specific kinds of stories are most effective for creating memorable idiom origins? Stories that involve strong actions, common objects, or relatable human experiences tend to stick the best. Think about animals. The idiom "let the cat out of the bag" is another good one. Imagine a market a long, long time ago. Sometimes people would try to trick others. They might put a valuable cat in a bag and pretend it was a piglet. If the buyer wasn't careful, they might buy the bag without looking inside. If someone accidentally opened the bag, meow, the cat would jump out and the secret was revealed. The trick was uncovered. This story, with the surprise of the cat jumping out, makes the idiom "let the cat out of the bag," meaning to reveal a secret, often by mistake, very easy to understand and remember. The visual of the cat leaping out is much more memorable than just a definition. Stories about everyday life are also great. Have you ever heard "break a leg"? It sounds mean, right? Why would you wish someone to break their leg? Well, this idiom comes from the world of theater. Long ago, actors believed that saying "good luck" directly was actually bad luck. It might tempt bad spirits to do the opposite. So, they started saying something that sounded like a curse, like "break a leg," to trick those spirits. It was a way to wish someone good luck by saying the opposite. When you imagine actors backstage wishing each other break a leg before they go on stage, you understand it's a special, secret way of saying "I hope you have a wonderful performance." The history makes the meaning clear and stops you from thinking it's a real curse. So, beyond just reading the origin, what active steps can a learner take to solidify their understanding and recall of an idiom using its story? The first step is to really picture it. Don't just skim the story. Imagine the scene. What do the characters look like? What sounds do you hear? What does it feel like? For "spill the beans," imagine the sound of the beans scattering. For "bite the bullet," feel the tension in the soldier's jaw. Then you can make it your own. Try drawing a little picture next to the idiom in your notebook. For "spill the beans," draw a little pot and some scattered beans. For "break a leg," draw a theater stage with a smiley face giving a thumbs up. These drawings act as visual cues, like little reminders of the story. Another fantastic active step is to use the idiom in a sentence right away, but connect it to its story. If you're learning "let the cat out of the bag," you could say, "My brother was planning a surprise party for Mom, but he accidentally let the cat out of the bag when he asked her what her favorite cake was." Then you can quickly think, yes, the cat jumped out, the secret is out. You can also turn learning into a game. Make flashcards. On one side, write the idiom. On the other side, write the meaning and a tiny note about its story. Or even better, draw a small picture that reminds you of the story. You can play a game with a friend where one person says the idiom, and the other has to explain its meaning and tell the story. Or, try playing idiom charades. Act out the story of the idiom, and your friend has to guess it. Let's try a new idiom together with a story. Imagine a pirate ship. Pirates had to be tough. They were often far from home and had to work hard. Sometimes, they had to do unpleasant jobs. If a pirate had to do a really difficult or boring job, they might say they had to grin and bear it. What does that mean? Well, imagine a pirate who doesn't want to swab the deck, which is a very boring job. But he has to do it. So he puts on a brave face, maybe a little smile, even though he doesn't feel happy. He grins, smiles, and bears it, puts up with it. So grin and bear it means to accept a difficult or unpleasant situation without complaining. When you picture that pirate, maybe with a bit of a forced smile, scrubbing the deck, you understand the meaning perfectly. This active approach makes learning feel like playing. Instead of just reading a list of words, you're building little worlds in your mind. You're creating connections that are strong and personal. This makes the idioms much easier to remember and use correctly. It's like building a strong bridge between the idiom and its meaning, and the story is the solid foundation of that bridge. The more you connect with the stories, the more you'll start to notice these idioms everywhere, in movies, in books, and when people talk. You'll begin to understand the rich history and the little pieces of culture that are hidden inside the English language. This connection is what makes learning truly enjoyable and helps you become more confident in using English. It's not just about knowing words. It's about understanding the fun and fascinating ways people use them. 4. The power of word origins. Sometimes, English words can be tricky. They sound like a puzzle. You hear them, but they don't make sense when you think about each word alone. This is often true for idioms. Idioms are special groups of words that mean something different from what the words usually mean. But many of these tricky phrases have a secret. They have stories. Knowing these stories is like finding a key that unlocks the meaning. This is what Idioms with Clear Origins is all about. It means we look at idioms that have a real reason, a real past, behind them. Think about it. You know what a single word means. But when words join together as an idiom, they can trick you. For example, if someone says, "It's raining cats and dogs," you might imagine animals falling from the sky. But that's not what it means. It simply means it's raining very, very hard. If you just hear "it's raining cats and dogs" and are told it means it's raining a lot, you might remember it for a short time. But it's like trying to remember a long list of numbers. It's hard to keep them in your mind. But what if you knew why people say it's raining cats and dogs? This saying is thought to come from a long time ago when houses had roofs made of straw. During big storms, animals like cats and dogs would climb onto the roofs to stay dry. When the rain got very heavy, the straw roofs could get so wet they might fall down. Sadly, any animals on top could fall with the roof. So, seeing cats and dogs falling from roofs or being washed through streets by floods became a picture of very heavy rain. When you hear that story, the idiom "raining cats and dogs" becomes much clearer, doesn't it? You can picture it. You have a reason. The words are no longer just random sounds. They are linked to a past event, a clear scene. This link is like a strong rope that holds the idiom and its meaning together in your memory. This is the amazing power of word origins. When we understand the story behind an idiom, we give our brains a special anchor. Instead of trying to hold on to a meaning that floats without a solid base, we have a real picture, a past event, or a funny situation to connect it to. This makes remembering idioms much easier and, dare I say, much more fun. It's like turning a boring lesson into an exciting adventure. Let's look at another example. Have you ever heard someone say they need to bite the bullet? If you just hear the words, you might wonder why anyone would want to bite metal. It sounds painful and strange. But the story behind "bite the bullet" is very strong. In the past, before good medicine and ways to stop pain, soldiers who were hurt in battles and needed surgery had to feel terrible pain. To help them deal with it, they were sometimes given a bullet to bite. This gave them something hard to hold between their teeth, to help them handle the pain and try not to cry out. So, when someone says they have to bite the bullet today, it means they have to face a hard, painful, or not so nice situation with courage, just like those soldiers did. See how that works? The picture of a soldier biting a bullet is a strong one. It immediately tells you that the situation is tough, that it needs bravery, and that it might hurt. This origin story gives the idiom a depth that a simple meaning like "to face a difficult situation bravely" doesn't have by itself. The story gives the idiom emotional weight and a connection to the past that makes it truly stick in your mind. You don't just know what it means, you feel what it means. This is a big difference, especially when you are learning a new language. This idea of idioms with clear origins is very important because it changes how you learn. Instead of just memorizing lists of phrases and their meanings, which can feel like work and often leads to forgetting, we are actually discovering small pieces of history and culture. Each idiom with a clear origin is like a tiny time capsule, showing us a little about how people lived, what they cared about, and how they spoke in the past. This makes learning English feel less like studying and more like exploring. It's like being a detective, putting together clues from the past to understand today. When you learn an idiom this way, you gain more than just a new phrase to use. You gain confidence. Imagine you are talking with someone who speaks English, and they use an idiom you have learned. If you only know the meaning, you might use it, but you might feel a little unsure. But if you know the story behind it, you can use it with a smile, knowing exactly why it fits. You might even be able to explain it if someone asks. Being able to not only use, but also understand and explain idioms is a real sign of knowing a language well. It shows that you are not just repeating words. You truly understand the richness and different shades of meaning in the language. Let's think about the idiom spill the beans. Imagine a secret meeting. People are gathered around a table, whispering. They have a special container, maybe a bag or a pot, filled with beans. These beans represent the secrets, the information that should be kept hidden. If someone accidentally knocks over the container and the beans fall out everywhere, the secrets are out. They are shown to everyone. So to spill the beans means to accidentally or carelessly reveal a secret. This origin story is very clear and easy to see. The picture of beans scattering from a container is a perfect way to represent secrets being revealed. When you picture this, the idiom spill the beans becomes easy to remember and understand. You can see the link between the real action of spilling beans and the idea of revealing secrets. This direct link, this clear origin, makes it much easier to use the idiom correctly when you talk. You won't mix it up with anything else. It has a strong mental picture to hold on to. The beauty of these idioms with clear origins is that they often come from everyday life, from common activities, or from historical events that are easy to understand. They are not hard to understand references that only a history expert would know. They are meant to be easy to relate to. For example, the idiom let the cat out of the bag means almost the same as spill the beans. And guess what? Its origin is also very easy to picture and understand. In the past, at markets, sellers who were not honest might try to trick buyers. They would put a cat in a bag instead of a more valuable animal like a baby pig. If the buyer opened the bag before they got home, the cat would jump out, showing the trick. So, letting the cat out of the bag meant revealing a hidden truth or a deception. Again, a clear picture, a relatable situation, and a direct link to the meaning. These stories help us understand not just the idiom itself, but also the people who first used it. They tell us about the world they lived in. They show us how they used language to describe their experiences. When we learn that barking up the wrong tree comes from hunting dogs, that mistakenly follow the smell of an animal up a tree that the animal is not actually in, we learn something about hunting and the frustration of a failed search. This idiom means to be doing something the wrong way or looking for something in the wrong place. The picture of the dog barking at the wrong tree is a perfect representation of that confusion and wasted effort. Understanding these origins also helps us appreciate how creative and clever language can be. It shows us that words are not fixed, they are alive and always changing. Idioms are proof of this change, capturing moments in time and making them last. They are like little jewels, each with its own special shine and history. By focusing on idioms with clear origins, we are essentially polishing these jewels, bringing out their brightness and making them easier for everyone to appreciate and use. Consider the idiom break the ice. Imagine a group of people who don't know each other. They are sitting in silence, feeling a bit awkward. It's like a frozen situation. To break the ice means to do or say something that makes people feel more relaxed and friendly in a social situation. The origin is quite literal. In the past, when ships needed to travel through water that was frozen, they would sometimes have a special, strong ship called an icebreaker. Its job was to smash through the ice and create a path for other ships to follow. This act of breaking through the frozen barrier allowed the journey to continue. This real act of creating a path through something difficult and frozen became a way to describe making a social situation less awkward and more open. When you hear about the icebreaker ship, the idiom break the ice makes perfect sense. You can picture the ship smashing through the ice, clearing the way. You can then easily connect that to clearing away the awkwardness between people. It's a very strong, visual connection. It's much more memorable than just saying, break the ice means to make people feel comfortable. The story adds a layer of understanding and a clear mental picture that helps the idiom stick firmly in your memory. This is why focusing on idioms with clear origins is so powerful for language learners. It changes the often difficult job of learning new words into an exciting journey of discovery. It makes English feel less like a foreign language and more like a fascinating storybook. Each idiom becomes a chapter, filled with characters, events, and feelings from the past that help us understand today. When we learn bite the bullet, we connect with the bravery of soldiers. When we learn spill the beans, we can imagine a secret being revealed. When we learn break the ice, we picture a ship clearing a frozen path. These are not just meanings, they are experiences. This approach also helps us avoid confusion. Some idioms have meanings that are very different from their literal words, and if their origins are unknown, they can be very hard to guess or remember. Idioms with clear origins are different. Their stories act as a guide, showing us exactly how the words led to the meaning. This clarity is incredibly helpful for learners. It removes the guesswork and replaces it with understanding. It builds a bridge between what you know the words and what you don't know the figurative meaning using the solid foundation of a story. So, when you come across a new idiom, don't just try to memorize its meaning. Ask yourself, is there a story behind this? Most of the time, especially with the idioms we will look at in this book, the answer is yes. And that story is your key. It's your mental shortcut. It's what will make the idiom not just a phrase you know, but a phrase you understand and can use with confidence and skill. It's about making learning English an adventure, where every idiom is a treasure chest waiting to be opened, revealing not just a meaning, but a piece of history and a spark of human experience. Once we see how a simple story can unlock the meaning of a phrase, we realize that the world of idioms is full of these hidden treasures. Now, let's dive into some of these fascinating origins and discover how they can help us speak and understand English with more skill and confidence. Conclusion: we have come to the end of our journey together through the amazing world of English idioms. It was a joy to share these special phrases with you. Do you remember when we began? Perhaps idioms seemed like secret codes, hard to understand and even harder to use. Our simple aim was to show that learning idioms can be easy, simple to remember, and most of all, fun. We wanted to show the magic of words by looking at the stories inside these colorful sayings. The main part of our trip was looking at idioms with clear, easy-to-understand beginnings. Think about it. When you learn the story behind an idiom, it's like finding a secret key. Instead of just trying to remember a group of odd words, you understand why they mean what they do. It is like trying to remember a long, boring list of numbers compared to remembering a short, fun story that helps you recall those numbers. The story stays in your mind. We saw how spill the beans quickly shows a picture of secrets coming out, like beans falling from a bag. And bite the bullet makes much sense when you picture someone bravely facing something painful, like biting down on a bullet. These are not just random sayings. They have beginnings, reasons, and small histories that make them feel alive. This is the strength of idioms with clear beginnings. They make learning not just easier, but truly enjoyable. You can understand, remember, and use them with confidence, all because you know their story. This book focused on these special idioms to show that learning English can be an exciting discovery, not a hard job. Now, you are more than just someone learning English. You are an idiom explorer. You have a special talent. You can look at an idiom and wonder, what is the story here? Do not stop now. When you hear or read a new idiom, stop for a moment. Ask yourself if you can guess what it means from the words. Then try to find its beginning. A quick look on the internet or in a good idiom book can show you interesting stories. Think of yourself building your own collection, a treasure box full of idioms, each with its own special story. Using idioms naturally, with this kind of understanding, will make your English sound much richer and more interesting. It is about speaking with your own style and charm. Remember, learning can be a journey that never ends, full of fun finds. Thank you for coming with me on this exploration. I am very sure that you will keep learning English idioms with ease and happiness, always remembering the power of a good story. Keep exploring, keep learning, and most of all, keep having fun with English. Happy idiom hunting!